Saying no isn't selfish. It's necessary.
You're listening to Overthinking, Outthinking, a podcast where analytical minds become business assets. If you're an introvert who loves thinking deeply, but sometimes struggles to turn those thoughts into action, you're definitely in the right place. Let's turn that careful thinking into your competitive advantage.
Welcome to Overthinking and Outthinking, the podcast for introverts who think deeply, feel intensely, and often get overlooked in loud places. I'm Drew, and today we're going to dive into a tough emotional trigger for most introverts, and that's simply saying no. If you've ever said yes to something that you didn't want to do just to avoid hurting someone's feelings, well, then this episode is for you. How often does that happen to you? I know it happened plenty of times for me. I want people to be happy. I want a people pleaser. So saying yes is easier, even if I hate it, than just saying no, because I don't want those people to think that, I'm too good for them or different weird things like that. But you know what? They don't even think of it that way. All they're thinking about is if he says yes, then I could do this every time. So by the end of this episode, you're going to know how to set boundaries without guilt or over-explaining, use phrases that feel natural for introverts, avoid burnout by protecting your energy, and say no while still be kind and respectful. So let's just be honest with ourselves. Most introverts don't fear the word no. We feel the emotional reaction we get when we say it. You don't want to seem rude and you don't want to disappoint anybody. And most of all, you don't want to have to explain yourself to anyone who might not get it. So of course, instead, you say yes. Not because you want to, but mainly because you feel safe doing it. So let's break down a few of the key emotions that drive this. One of them is guilt. You feel bad for letting someone down, like we've been saying, even if it's something small. You imagine how your no might make them feel and change their mood, their plans, or even their opinion of you. And that guilt just eats at you, doesn't it? Even though saying no is just perfectly reasonable. Talk about overthinking. And we don't want to affect anybody's mood. Another key emotion is the fear of rejection. You might think that by saying no, someone might think that you're a selfish person, or you're lazy, or you're unreliable, which is totally far from the truth, right? You're not afraid of just one single interaction going wrong. You fear a losing relationship or a connection, or even someone's trust overall. Another key emotion is people-pleasing conditioning. Many introverts grow up getting praised for being easy or helpful, or the quiet one who never complains. Oh, I hated that. But you were trained, sometimes unknowingly, to keep others happy, even at the cost of your own needs. I came from that old school thinking where we don't cause waves and we represent our family. So even if it comes to making you feel uncomfortable, you do whatever you need to do to make our family look like they're in the best light. Well, sometimes it's just not that way. Sometimes you got to tell the truth. Sometimes it's okay to let other people think what you're really thinking, and you can still be kind and thoughtful doing that. But let me tell you, boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're really about protecting your peace, because you're not being rude. You're just being clear. Well, what happens when you don't set those boundaries? Let's take a look at two common scenarios. One, which is a big one, is that you tend to say yes to last-minute requests at work. And what does that do? You get behind on your own work. You get a reputation as someone who can always handle it. And yeah, you might be able to handle it, but at what cost, right? And eventually what happens? You start to burn out. And then you say yes to special favors when all you need is really some downtime. And what happens? You end up resenting the person, even though they didn't do anything wrong. And what's worse, you start pulling away from people that you actually care about. But to be truthful, every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're actually saying no to your own peace. And this isn't about being cold, it's about being real. Here's a step-by-step system for introverts to say no but with confidence. Step 1 is to spot the pattern. Where do you most likely say yes when you really mean to say no? Think about it and make a list, because awareness is step 1. Step 2 is to create a boundary script. Write 1 or 2 go-to phrases that you can use at any time. For example, I'd love to help, but I'm swamped and I just don't have any extra capacity. Or, I appreciate you thinking about me, but I'm going to have to pass on this one. See, you can say these things and still be kind and not having to explain anything, but you're being truthful. Step 3 is to practice saying it out loud. Sometimes it's easier to say hard things when your mouth has actually practiced it. Even if you have to speak it in the mirror, just say it like you mean it. Whatever it takes, you need to look people straight in the eye and just be clear with them. Like I said, you can still be that kind person and that thoughtful person that you always have been. But if you look someone straight in the eye and you tell them these things, they're going to listen. Step 4 is to use the pause. Look, you don't have to give an answer right away. All you have to do is say, let me think about it for a second. I'll get right back with you. That pause helps you say yes and not feel so pressured about it. And number 5, stop explaining yourself. You don't need to. The more you explain, the more you give permission to others to push back. So say the boundary and then just stop talking. I mean, you can give them a facial expression. Just say, sorry, I just can't do it right now. And then walk away. It's okay. But most importantly, step 6. Watch what changes and what doesn't change. You'll be surprised. Most people are going to respect your clarity. And if somebody doesn't, that's information. And it's not your responsibility. And then step 7 is repeat all of these steps until it feels normal or becomes normal. The first few times it's going to feel uncomfortable. I mean, let's face it. It's not something you're used to. It's not in your comfort zone. But neither is getting burnt out or doing things you don't want to do just to please other people. But what's going to happen is the next few times is going to make you feel more powerful and in control of the situation. And eventually saying no will feel like self-respect. So let me repeat those 7 steps again. Just in a nutshell is step 1, spot the pattern. Step 2, write the boundary script. Step 3, practice it out loud. Step 4, use the pauses. Step 5, stop that explaining. Step 6, watch and see what changes. And then step 7, repeat it. The bottom line here is that we don't need other people to make us feel a certain way. Really, in the big picture, they're trying to take advantage of you, and they don't really respect you. So let's get some self-respect. Let's create those boundaries. Remain the same person you are, because let's face it, being who you are is why people like you. You're kind, you're thoughtful, you think about things, you come up with solutions, but the problem is that people tend to take advantage. So I'm going to challenge you this week. Just take one situation where you normally say yes and just say no and see what happens. Let it be uncomfortable and just let it stand. Just try it and then celebrate the peace that you just protected. Listen, if this episode gave you the language that you can actually use, share it with a fellow introvert who needs to hear this. We need to get this out to as many introverts as we can, because it's truth. And also, it's going to help you get to where you need to be. Instead of people pushing you over, they're going to start respecting you and they're going to start listening to you. And then that's where the movement at your work starts, where you start getting your promotions. They start giving you meaningful projects or work. And then you start seeing the raises come. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. This is going to help me get more of these tips out to more introverts out there in the world. Help me to help you and to help them. Let's get this message spread. And remember, your analytical mind isn't what's holding you back. It's your greatest strength when you know how to use it. So until next time, keep thinking deeply and moving forward. And most of all, you be you. This is Chaz, and you've been listening to Overthinking to Outthink.
If this episode resonated with you, share it with another deep thinker in your life. And don't forget to subscribe for more strategies on turning your internal dialogue into external success. Until next time, keep thinking deeply and keep acting strategically. And most of all, you be you.